to our third session of Bringing Wisdom to Life. I am very happy and excited to introduce our guest teacher of the session. Ven Tsunam is the executive director of Diamond Mountain Retreat Center. Yay! She's from Germany, but currently she decided to move to the most precious land in the world and the most popular town in the entire United States, Bowie, Arizona. Also, I am very excited because this topic is very relevant to myself personally. The most irritating person of the month. So thank you, Ven Tsunam, for being here. And let's start it.
Thank you so much, Ali, for the introduction and invitation. Welcome in the club. By being here, you admitted that you have one of these most irritating persons in your life. And I think it takes courage to admit that we still have these people in our life. I was standing at McDonald's one time. Yes, I admit and confess, sometimes I eat at McDonald's French fries and a vanilla shake. And they have this employee of the month. And that inspired in me. I was really staring at this board of the employee of the month. And then I was inspired, like, oh, I need to make one the most irritating person of the month for me. These persons are in our life. I hope I can do that and speak for all of us. And yes, we try to work on it to change them. Maybe we do 4 steps. Maybe we try to remember the 2 husbands when we meet them. But because they are triggering in us such strong negative feelings, it's so hard to really work on them with a spiritual practice. So I was looking around, which one can I use for them, on them, to change them. But let's get first back. How do we define the most irritating person of the month? For me, these are the persons who trigger very, very strong negative feelings in me. They only have to open the door and come into the room. They don't have to say anything. And already this upsetness, this anger is boiling up. I can see a lot of knots. Yes, we are all in the same boat here. So they throw us off our peace of mind. And if we don't have the peace of mind, if we are angry and upset, we cannot practice patience. We don't remember the 2 husbands. So how do we work with them? I can only say I tried these methods and it was not been working for me. And I think really due to the strong feelings they are triggering in me. So before we start, I would like you to pick your most irritating person of the month. You might have several people in your life who are irritating you on a regular basis. But which is the one who triggers you the most often, triggers the most intense negative feelings? Let me know in the chat when you have decided which one you want to work on in the next month. Just type a 1 if you have picked one. 1 out of the 500. Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to work on it. It will not take a lot of time, maximum 5 minutes per day. And maybe you have already guessed what it is. Maybe you can give me your tip, what I recommend to you. I'm really interested if you can guess what it is. Roxana, 50 bucks. You have been the first. Hong Len. Please send me your PayPal. Hong Len. Hong Len is one of the meditation practices, which is one of the first ones we learn. And it has, in my experience, worked so incredibly for these irritating people. Tong Len is the practice of giving and taking. What are we giving? We are giving happiness. We give the person everything which makes them happy. We give them love. In Sanskrit, Maitri. That's the Tong part. But before we can give them happiness, we need to remove their suffering. That's the Len part, the taking part. That means we have to have compassion with them. We have to admit that they are suffering as well. And that's really what the most irritating person in your life. That's sometimes hard to admit that they are also suffering. And when I started that practice, I was sitting there. I remember it was a colleague of mine. I was sitting there and then I discovered I don't even know anything about that person. I don't have any idea what they are suffering from. I didn't know anything about now I'm frozen. Have you heard the last sentence? I think I've been frozen.
All right. I guess we have so many people irritating us that we are having obstacles with the internet. Thank you so much for your patience. And if you can put in the chat, meanwhile, Venerable Sunam come back. Where are you from? And how did you hear about this class? Ukraine, Germany, Bali, Germany, Romania, Spain. I'm from Mexico, but I live in Phoenix right now. Japan, Guatemala. Great. Guadalajara, Guadalajara. We will have an event in Guadalajara in summer. If you want to come, check the ACI website for more information. Toluca, Serbia. Okay. So for most of you, it's already evening or afternoon. How many people have irritated you during the day? I have one, and it's only 6 a.m. in the morning here in Arizona. I am married, so you can guess who was. Just kidding. All right, something very cool that Venerable Sunam shared with me, and I think I can share it. We will post a certificate of kind of like she was described on in the beginning of the class about who is the most irritated person for you of the month, and that certificate will be available in the study platform of ACI. So you can print it or you can save it as a wallpaper on your computer or your cell phone. Yeah, Francisco, please share the picture. Ta-da! This Venerable Sunam prepared. Yeah, hanging on the kitchen and the refrigerator. Yes. So this will be ready after the class. And because we where is Tim? Oh, Sunam is back. Yay!
Sorry, that's
It's
one of the downsides if you live in this famous city, Bowie.
yeah. I mean, I share your certificate just to the certificate that you prepare just to
Yeah.
gain some time.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Ale. Okay. We have been at the point that it is hard to acknowledge that even these irritating people are suffering. And it really takes a little bit of creativity and put yourself in the shoes of this person to acknowledge their suffering. And this is also already, I think, 50% of the seeds to change them, that you acknowledge their suffering. And then with compassion in your heart, karuna, you then we go to the people we love, that we take their suffering. If we are good at that, we go to the people we are neutral about. And then we go to the people who are irritating us. So what I recommend to do Tonglen with people who are irritating might be a challenge. Maybe you are not yet really ready to take their suffering because of the strong feelings you have. But don't worry, I have here a few little helpers for you later on. So that you can really start that practice, even if you are not yet ready to take their suffering. There are, on the other side, so many versions of Tonglen around. And I would recommend use the one you have practiced so far. There was a question, what was the third one? Oh, you mean in the progression of Tonglen? So first you do it on yourself. You take your own suffering. Second, you do it with people you love. Third, you do it with people you are neutral about. And then fourth, you do it with the irritating people. But as said, don't worry. I give you a few little helpers later on how you can start with the irritating people. So as said, there are many different versions out there. Use the one you have practiced so far. If you have not yet practiced Tonglen, I will explain the details later. So the difference is what we imagine in our heart. The one which is most commonly taught in our community is that you imagine a rose in your heart which stands for your compassion, your willingness to take the suffering. And also you imagine that there is a small diamond in one of the petals, which stands for your understanding of emptiness. Another version, which we will practice today, is that you imagine a small flame in your heart. And this flame stands for your selfishness. And by the willingness to take on the suffering of somebody else, you destroy the selfishness. And then Tonglen is something which you can practice on your cushion. I would recommend to practice it on the cushion once in a while. And it might take 5 to 10 minutes, even for beginners. But then take it into your daily life, practice off the cushion. And this is very easy to accomplish because Tonglen goes with the breath. Every time you exhale, you give happiness. Every time you inhale, you take the suffering. So when you have if you have practiced Tonglen on the cushion for a few times, you can really then in your daily life do it with one breath. And that is why this practice, doing Tonglen for 4 weeks with your most irritating person of the month, does not take a lot of time. You just need to remember to do it every day. So how does it go? I first summarize the steps for you if you're not so quite familiar with Tonglen. And then I will give you a few tips on how you can start it in an easy way with the most irritating person of the month. So how it normally goes in your meditation, you are visualizing the person, and then you imagine all their suffering as smoke all over in their body. And here be very specific. Oh, this person has lots of headache. Oh, this person struggles really in their relationship. Oh, this person has a sick child he needs to take care of, which takes up a lot of time and effort. That is one of my examples, which I discovered in the most irritating person of the month. I knew this person for 10 years, and I didn't know that he had a disabled child he was taking care of. That was so embarrassing for me. But I think that's a sign that these strong negative feelings just prevent to have compassion and love for them and being interested in their life. So then you imagine all this pain they have, physical, mental, And then with your breath, you suck all the smoke into a small black lump. Best to imagine it at their heart. And then with your breath, you are sucking it out of the person, going up the throat and coming out of the nose, and then hovering between you and them. And then you focus for a moment very strongly on your compassion. That you are willing to take on the suffering of that person. This is a real bodhisattva attitude. You are willing to take on the suffering of this person. And you have the strong wish that you do it. And then with a strong inhale, you take the lump, you put it down into your heart. And as soon as the lump and the rose or the flame meet, boom, big explosion. The suffering is destroyed. Your selfishness is destroyed. Maybe you see a little bit of smoke, you can exhale that. It's very important at that point that nothing of this suffering is left. And through the explosion, you are filled with bright golden light. Through your willingness to take on the suffering. And then you look back to the person and you see that they are relieved. You have taken their suffering. This is the taking part. Now we can go to the giving part. You are filled with this incredible light, which stands for love. So you are sending love to this person. You are sending them everything which makes them happy. You can even imagine that all these presents and gifts are on top of the light you are sending. And you see how they start smiling, how they are happy. And you are happy with them. What if you cannot develop that wish to take on the suffering of this person? Because you still have these strong negative feelings for them? Then I would recommend you need to acknowledge their suffering. That's the minimum I would like you to do. Yes, they are suffering. They have sickness. They have pain. They try to strive for happiness, which makes them unhappy, which is not working, and they're always disappointed. Find minimum one thing which they are suffering. And then you can go the way that you see them filled with smoke, with their suffering. You imagine yourself filled with this golden light of love. And you send them this golden light, this love, and this is pushing out the suffering of them. And then practice that for a while. And then go back to the original and try if you are meanwhile able to take on their suffering in the version I described first. Another version could be do it with yourself. So that means you are sitting on your cushion and you imagine yourself in the future. Imagine you do it in the morning and you know you meet this person today and they will push your buttons. Then take this suffering, this pushing your buttons, this negative feelings, take them from the future self and destroy it and send yourself happiness. And if that works good for you, you can even expand it by, I do not even take it from myself. I take the suffering, this strong negative feeling from everybody who is irritated at the moment. Yes, Maria, this version, Tonglen with your future self, is incredible. You can do it every morning if you have a hard day in front of you. But that's a different topic. So we have 3 versions. You do the traditional Tonglen with the people who is irritating you every day. A few days on the cushion, and then you start doing it with in-breath, out-breath whenever you have a second to do it. Latest in the evening before you go to bed, because you have it in your book. Second version, you imagine the person with their sufferings and smoke, and you give them love and everything they want, and that pushes out the suffering. And then I think I can really promise you, I think after a week, then you are able to go to the original version, taking the suffering first and then giving. And the third version, if it's really hard, then take the suffering from your future self when the person is pushing your buttons. Let me check if I have a 4th version, but I don't think so. No. So let's do the version quickly where we fill ourselves with love. We imagine the other person filled with smoke, their suffering, and then we give them the love and push out the suffering. get ready for meditation. Let's do first a quick body check. If you're sitting on the chairs, are your feet firm on the ground? Spine straight. Eyelids relaxed. Park your concentration on the tip of your nose and watch your breath. And now imagine this most irritating person you picked in the beginning of the class. Sitting in front of you. And imagine they are filled with black smoke. And this stands for their suffering. What is it they are suffering? Are they sick? Overwhelmed? Too much to do? Are they struggling to make a living? And now come back to yourself. You have love for so many people. You can give them a little bit of love as well. Imagine this love as golden light filling your complete body. And now decide that you want this person seeing happy. What would make them happy? Maybe it's having more time. Maybe it's getting praise. Maybe it's finding a partner. And then send the golden light with your exhale to the person. With every exhale, you send the golden light and the smoke is pushed out.
那你不去骑车吗？不去骑车吗？
都可以，你想做，你也可以走路过来。
And then with your last exhale, send more golden light and all the smoke is pushed out, all the suffering. And the person is filled with happiness. You can see them smiling. And that makes you happy. Then we end the meditation with 3 long exhales. Maybe you have lots of happiness left over and you can send it out to the world with these 3 exhales. And when ready, open your eyes. Was it hard or was it that a version which worked for everybody? Let me know. Send me a heart if it was easy. Great. So you have taken the first step Maybe Ale, you can show our worksheet. Thank you. So I have created a worksheet for you. And this shows the result I have experienced when I really practice it for 30 days with the most irritating person of the month. Either they turned into a friend or they disappeared from my life. And disappeared from my life meant that they found for themselves a place, another job, another living environment where they have been happier. So this is really something I can only recommend. It worked for me. It's, I think, a good alternative. If practice patience has not worked, don't say anything if they push your buttons. And 30 days should do the job. I have never taken longer than 30 days. So I made the sheet for you that you can follow up, that you really do it every day. So I put there this icon. You can maybe put really a picture of them there that you can imagine them very nicely. Then you can check mark off every day you have done your Tonglen. And it does not need to be a formal session on your cushion. It can be any time during the day when you remember it, when you stand in the queue at the supermarket, when you are standing at the red traffic light in your car. Do it for 10 seconds. Do it for 30 seconds. It will work. And then you can even make notes. Maybe if you start out with one of the easier versions, how does it change? And when are you ready to go to the original version where you really take the suffering? And then it's hard to say, I guarantee you, but in my experience, it worked every time. Then you can really check mark the result. They turned into a friend or they disappeared from your life and found a place where they are much more happier than they are at the moment. There is one thing I would like to mention, which is in all the scriptures. Never ever do Tonglen on your hard teacher, in case you are tempted to do that. And for everybody here, I would like to give you also some food for thinking after class. It is said that practicing Tonglen means you are practicing all 6 perfections at the same time. Maybe think about where are these 6 perfections hidden in the Tonglen. I think next we go to question and answers. Maybe there are more questions than I have been able to solve. Yeah. Am I frozen again? No, I can see Ale move.
No. I was trying to find the question. Barbara Acevedo asked if we can do this version of Tonglen in the 6 preliminaries for generate bodhicitta.
Thank you, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Long time not seen. Yes, because it is, according Lamrim, one of the 2 methods to generate bodhicitta. Just a yes.
Okay. One of the questions from the Russian participants, I think is Anna. She asked, why we cannot do Tonglen to our teacher?
You need to see your teacher perfect. That's the challenge. To see them as perfect. If you do Tonglen with them, you see them as imperfect. And that's undermining your effort to see them as perfect.
Thank you. Beautiful answer. The next question is from Christy from Romania. How do we manage our anger with our teenager children?
I would really say, this is why I came up with this practice. The people are pushing your buttons. I was not able to control my anger with patience, and no, I don't say anything. It was just lots of effort and friction, and I was not able to manage it with anything else. So if your children, and yes, thank you for admitting that they are pressing your buttons all the time. Put them on the list. Do Tonglen with them every day. In my experience, managing anger costs so much energy, costs so much effort to suppress it. That's why doing it on your cushion when you are not in their presence, it's so much easier. You don't have this feeling at the moment. You are so much more able to develop this love and compassion for them. That it worked for me so much better. And as well, I think a very important step, which I already mentioned, is you need to put yourself in the shoes of them to figure out what is their pain, what is their suffering at the moment. That afterwards, I noticed you are much more open to see their struggle. You are getting out of your, I don't know if anger is selfishness. Yes, because they do something you don't like, which opens up a much better relationship. This is more or less the worldly explanation. But you are also planting just these incredible seeds that you see a different teenager.
Thank you, Ven Tsunam. I think we have time for one more.
I saw one which I would like to pick, Ale, if
Okay.
I'm allowed to, because I think that's a very important one. The question is from Elmira. Is there a relationship between Tonglen meditation and the self-exchange to others meditation? According to the Lamrim, the steps on the path, they go together. There are either you practice exchanging yourself with others first, or we are practicing it in Tonglen. We are putting ourselves into their shoes and try to understand and to feel what they are suffering from. So the step where you imagine the smoke and their suffering is part of exchanging yourself with others, because you need to put yourself in their shoes. Otherwise, you cannot even come up what they are suffering. And according Lamrim, first exchange yourself with others and then Tonglen, because this is the first step. And I also mentioned this acknowledging that they are suffering is a very important part, especially with the people which are irritated. Thank you so much. I think next is good morning, Tim.
Morning, Tsunam. Thank you for such a beautiful class this morning. It reminded me of a time when I had a particularly challenging, irritating person in my life. And, we didn't talk for about 3 months. We had a big fight, and I was mad at them. It was kind of the other way around. And my teacher said, just do Tonglen. And I kind of rolled my eyes. But I did Tonglen, and then for about a month, and then one day they called me.
Yeah.
And then we made up, and it's such a powerful practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why are we talking about this today, Tsunam? So this was, in a way, a teaser conversation for what's coming up in April. Tsunam and I were talking about a month ago about the ACI event at Diamond Mountain. And we were talking about the content. And she said, I have this great class I want to teach. And we laughed and laughed. I was like, this is perfect. The most irritating person of the month. And I was like, yes, let's do that immediately. So she gave us a teaser today on how to do Tonglen, gave us a really clear practice of what we can do. Who is this person, how to work with them, and how to think about them in your practice, right? Because it's not just about doing the Tonglen, what's happening in the background. It's like what's happening in your motivation, what's happening in your heart, and even more importantly, what's happening in your understanding of emptiness while you're doing it. So we have a program coming up that's going to go significantly more in depth. Like, it takes everything you know about Tonglen and then goes deep into that practice. And it's called The Magic of Empty Meditations. And that's going to be at Diamond Mountain next month, starting on April 7th. And so this is a continuation of our Lam Rim program. And we've arrived at the part where we're now actually learning how to work with our hearts. Like, how do we really get in there and look at our own self-cherishing, the ways that we blame other people, because really they're irritating from their own side, Tsunam, right?
These people always, yes.
Right. And that's the biggest problem, right? Yeah, we're like, well, they're irritating from their own side. So what we do in this, we really learn how to go into our hearts and kind of go through the back door, right? Yes, the irritating's not coming from them, right? Okay, maybe not, but I have to get there. And that comes through compassion, right? What's going on for them? And as Tsunam said so beautifully, what's really going on for them? Why, like, what's this, what are they really hurting with? What's the real hurt behind it? So we're going to go deep into that practice, and we're calling it the emptiness of, the magic of empty meditations. And so if you understand the emptiness of these meditations, that's when the magic starts happening, right? You merge your compassion and your wisdom together. So we'll be at Diamond Mountain. We have lots of space left. We just opened registration yesterday, finally, for everybody. Please do join us. And if you're not able to come in person, of course, we'll have our online versions as well. But if you've ever wanted to make that trip to get to be on the sacred land of Diamond Mountain, it is incredibly powerful. Meditations are off the charts there. We're in the middle of building a beautiful new path for Medicine Buddha stupas. And it's a wonderful place to connect with some very, very great teachers around the world who will be there as well, including Geshe Michael Roach. So please join us. I believe the links are in the chat. If I saw that, there they are. Yep.
Please come. It's so beautiful. Spring is arriving. We are finishing the first stupa, so maybe we can watch them.
Yeah.
I would like to meet all of you in person after all these years. And it's just, as Tim said, it's sacred land. It's so filled with meditation energy of all these incredible people who have meditated here. And you will experience an incredible difference in your practice. It's open space, it's opening your mind, watching the nighttime stars.
Cool. Well, thank you, Tsunam, for joining us. And I believe you have a little bit more left.
Yes. I would like that in my personal experience, I need to make some kind of commitment that I really stick to a practice for the next 30 days. So I would like to ask you, you already picked your most irritating person of the month. Give me a 1 if you say, yes, I will work on them with Tonglen for the next 30 days. A few minutes every day.
Okay.
Great, great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that commitment. I hope that it brings the result you hope for. And Tim, we thought this is the teaser for Lamrim. Yes, it is. But I also experienced by preparing for this class, there is so much to know about Tonglen. It's like, it's such a deep and profound topic. And there are already ACI daily practice courses taught by Geshe-la, which you might want to check if you want to go deeper. I think, Ale, you said you will post it somewhere, where to find them. And I was preparing them also so intrigued to teach that ACI daily practice course, contemplation on the practice of giving and taking, that I decided to start that course mid-end of April. We will figure out with Ale when and how and where, and then we let you know if you want to get into all of the different aspects. And it's also practice. We will meditate a lot. That's from my side. Ale, thank you so much for being here and for your commitment. That makes me excited.
Thank you very much, Venerable Tsunam, for this very practical and wonderful class. You really made me feel like I change any irritating person on my life. So thank you very much. Also, I want to thank all the volunteers, ACI volunteers, translators, marketing team, Telegram coordinators, tech volunteers. These classes won't be available to everybody without them. So please, if you know a volunteer who serve in ACI, please thank them. Also, I want to thank Venerable Tsunam for all the time that she spent preparing this class and dreaming how we can bring the wisdom to life. So thank you very much, Venerable Tsunam, again. Also,
Thank you, Ale. You are the core of all of that.
Also, I want to say thank you to all the sponsors, the secret sponsors of ACI. Without them is how we can make these classes free of charge. So please, if you feel that you want to help us to keep these classes free for everybody and improving our services, please donate. We need donations. You can donate money, you can donate time, you can donate anything, your practice. Thank you very much again. And one more thing, if you want to listen again to class, or you missed the 2 previous classes of the series Bringing Wisdom to Life, you can watch them and find them in the ACI platform. This is an amazing tool that ACI and a group of programmers are creating and improving every single day to keep all the wisdom in one place for all of us. So if you want to help us to support the platform, please reach out to us. We need to keep improving our tool. So thank you very much. I hope you can see all of you on our next session. Please bring more people, because this series is to teach everybody how we can bring the wisdom to life. And last thing, I want to thank you, Janine, our new German translator. Is the first time that she translates on a live class. She's been helping on the background in Telegram chats. So thank you very much, Janine, for having the courage to translate live. If you want to become an ACI translator and help us, please reach out to us. We have many classes and we translate in many languages. And if you don't have experience, don't worry. We have tons of opportunities for you, as Janine. So thank you very much. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Francisco. And thank you, the ACI team. So see you next time.